This video is sponsored by Jerry's Artorama. Jerry's Artorama Online has been serving artists for over 50 years, providing only the best quality art supplies. Jerry's Artorama has premier lines that sell all over the world and are used by millions of artists and professionals worldwide for amazing results. In addition to over 65,000 fine art supplies, choose from over 4,000 free art lessons, oil painting, drawing, acrylics, watercolors, mixed media, and the largest selection of new supplies professionally evaluated and created by artists for artists. Jerry's Artorama has been empowering artists since 1968. We provide reliability, better art supplies, great prices, and exceptional service. The quality of your art matters to us.
What's up, people? How are you all doing? Today, we're going to be painting clothing in gouache and in Procreate. And if you would like to learn how to turn your artistic weakness into your strength, check out artprof.org, where we have lots of free resources, tutorials, critiques, and all that good stuff. So, Alex, you ready to go?
I am so ready. It's good to be back, and I'm glad to be painting some Pride and Prejudice images and learn how to do clothes.
Oh, snap.
So let's start with the So, Jordan, I love this story. I love both movie adaptations, but you haven't seen it, right? Or read the book?
I know nothing about Pride and Prejudice. I imagine I probably was supposed to read it in high school, and I didn't. So,
no,
yeah,
it's
amazing.
The movies are. I'm gonna. It might be heresy. I don't know, but I think the movies are good enough. I'm just kind of curious. Like, what do you think this movie's about?
Okay, so
just
all right,
from what you see.
So before the stream, we were gonna we decided that I was gonna figure out what this is about based on some of the reference photos. So that's why I got pulled up here. And again, I have no idea, but I'm seeing. It looks like it's primarily women in the film, very old, 1800s. Keira Knightley doesn't look pleased about anything happening in her life. She may or may not break this stick. And I think it has something to do with like marriage and love. And this guy looks really sleazy with the eyebrows and the sideburns and all that. So I imagine it has something to do with like her not wanting to marry some dude ultimately. But that's about as far as I can get with that.
What's really wild is how close and spot on you were. Like,
okay, so you got to break it down for me. Like, what's it really all about?
Oh, yeah. Well, this is, I'll be painting an image of Lizzie Bennet, Elizabeth Bennet, and she's one of 7 siblings, or is it 5? Wait, how many Bennet sisters are there? 1, 2.
You're not asking me.
3, 4. Wait, I lost count. There's Lizzie. There's her older sister, Jane. Then there's Mary, who's everyone's secret favorite. And then there's the 2, what are their names? So it's 5. Yeah, the 5 Bennet sisters. And it's all in that time period where it's like, oh, yeah, like hoity-toity British stuff of like, oh, like the woman must marry the wealthy man to like save the family stuff. And the Bennet family is all daughters. So like, oh, no, what are we going to do? Yeah, and the guy who kind of looks like a jerk, Lizzie thinks so too. That's Mr. Darcy.
Lizzie is that Keira Knightley? Is that?
Oh yeah, Lizzie is Keira Knightley.
Okay.
That's I don't want to spoil it for you, but
I honestly, it's been 26 years, and I still haven't watched the movie or read the book, so you might as well spoil it. I don't know if anyone else wants that, so yeah, I'm not sure.
Fair. I typically have a joke of like, if something's been out for more than like 5 years, then you're not allowed to complain about it being spoiled. And Pride and Prejudice came out like hundreds of years ago, I think. I don't know time.
Yeah.
But I still don't want to just be like, drop a big spoiler on the plot. But it's a lovely, lovely, lovely romp. I'm a huge fan.
What? I gotta say, I appreciate that mindset, because it had been 2 weeks and Avengers Infinity War and Endgame were spoiled for me in the worst ways possible.
Oh, no.
Still in the theaters, and I was in finals or something, and I just couldn't go see it yet. And they start talking about it in class, and they just messed everything up. I was like, you all suck.
That's awful.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So Yeah,
But you gotta watch I think the Keira Knightley movie is flawless. It's perfect. I read the book shortly after watching it, and it's like word for word verbatim. So y'all gotta check that one out.
wait, did you like read it and watch it at the same time to see how accurate it was? Like word for word verbatim for a film adaptation is very rare.
No, honestly, like it's one of my favorite movies. It's what I like to call a sick movie, where if I'm like sick at home, you know, and I'm just like not feeling crummy, I just turn it on and I just feel better. It's really terrific that way. But so yeah, I watched the movie quite a bit. And then yeah, like whenever I reread the book, I'm like, gosh dang, they got all these lines like perfectly. Like legit, they just get the script from the book. It's awesome.
So what is it that you like about it?
It's so soothing. It's like getting into a bubble bath, but a movie. There's not really a lot going on. It's so comforting. It's so soothing. I think that's really the extent of it. I just find it very relaxing.
It's like a bubble bath, but a movie. Okay, that is a new one. I have not heard that description ever given for anything ever in life.
Yeah, all the problems are very funny. The characters are zany. It's just very. Everyone's like bickering about who makes 5,000 a year and owns half of what county in England, and all the not really any scandal. It's just kind of, oh goodness, it's a lot of fun. A lot of sideburns.
Lots of sideburns. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, and that Mr. Wickham is a piece of work.
So it's like the 70s.
Yeah. Actually, yeah.
We have a comment from 315 Bird that says, seriously, Alex, how do you just know where the shadows are?
Oh man, I love, like, for me, it helps to like squint my eyes and look at the reference photo that way or make it a little blurry. That's a really good way for me to kind of keep track of that. But I did a bad mistake where I think you guys all saw, I started to make like those dark shadows first before doing. I'm like, okay, whoa, let's slow down. Let's get the rest of these little ducks in a row too. So, but yeah, it does always help me to find an anchor point of some shadows. Like, okay, let's mark these guys out and then let's move on. There we go.
I haven't actually drawn in Procreate in a couple of weeks. I've been using my Cintiq for a while, so I gotta catch back up.
What's funny, I haven't done painting like this in a while either. It's been a very busy like month for me, which is why I wasn't in a art prof. I feel a lot like, I think I've made this reference before, but I feel like a lot like that guy in Toy Story 2 who repairs Woody, where like my hand was shaking right until my brush touched the paper, and now it's like, here we go.
Oh, I see. Yeah, that's always been one of my favorite scenes, actually.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
It's just soothing. And even as like, I would think I was maybe 3 or 4 when that movie came out, and I always liked that scene a lot. It's just weird. I can't really explain it.
Mm-hmm. You can't rush art. So,
right. Emily Packman says, Jane Austen effectively invented the rom-com. Pride and Prejudice is a well-deserved classic.
Mm-hmm.
No one ever told me that.
Very true, yeah. Very funny, zany. The whole thing is really just people not communicating, which causes the whole plot. Like, if people communicated with each other, there would be no story.
I feel like that's most movies, though. You know? Like,
oh, yeah, certainly most rom-coms.
Yeah, especially rom-coms. It's always like there's always the misunderstanding that throws everything out of whack. And like, if you had just had that conversation earlier, if you had just been more clear with your words at one point, it would have been
use your words. There we go. All right.
Rusted it in.
So, boom. Okay, so I'm just about done blocking out these big sections of color and shape.
Ariel says, Jordan, it's about a world where women had to be married or a nun to eat and live. Oh, that sounds...
Also that.
married or a nun, okay.
Which that's where it's a really cool thing, where it's not just like a kind of meh rom-com. Like it's like Lizzie wants to get married for love in a time where that was not why you got married.
More like duty or
Yeah, exactly. So it's a very cool kind of concept like that of Lizzie's not even, her wants are not grand. She just wants a happy life.
that's very pleasant sounding, actually.
Right?
Yeah.
Good
I don't know
little-
why I never, like knew more about the story. I'm not sure.
Oh, and her mom is she actually one of my favorite characters in the movie. Really interesting just a really interesting character. Her dad's interesting as well, played in this movie by Donald Sutherland, and my favorite Donald Sutherland role. He nails it. Just a little bit aloof.
Yeah, I'm trying to think about like why I probably never got a chance to see it. I never really think about rom-coms though, to be honest with you. Like the rom-coms that I do watch are the ones that are like laugh out, like hysterically funny. Like Hitch to me, like is one of the funniest movies ever.
Oh yeah.
Will Smith James, like I love it.
I haven't thought about that movie in a long time.
I've seen it so many times I could probably quote half the scenes. But anytime I hear the song "Yeah" by Usher, I just think about that one scene making the pizza and the Q-tip and all that. Those of you guys have seen it, you know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I gotta say, I think Pride and Prejudice might be that for me. I've seen this movie so many times. So many times. It's just comforting. Soundtrack is really light and soothing. Let's see. Let's go like this. Okay. So I'm going to start putting in the shadows a little bit more. But as usual, what we do, I'm looking at kind of the reflected light and the color of light that's being put on the clothes. So I'm putting a little bit of blue into the shadow that is otherwise just umber color. Rather than like, it's shadow, it must be black. I'm like, yeah, it's going to be dark, but it's going to be blue.
Emily Catherine says Hitch is pretty great. You are correct. It's hilarious. I love that movie. Can't get enough.
Oopsies. Didn't quite make that watery enough. Let's see.
You know, I feel like my mind is saying like, oh no, Alex is so much further along. I gotta catch up. And then I remember like, oh yeah, he started with like the whole drawing. Slow down, Jordan. Yeah, you're fine. It's only been a couple minutes.
Yeah. It's no, there's gonna be a point where you're gonna be like, man, Alex is still there.
I don't know about that. You're pretty speedy with the gouache, man. So,
dude, honestly, I gotta say, especially this acrylic gouache stuff, where I love regular gouache. Don't get me wrong, but I'm really having fun playing around over the past couple of weeks with acrylic gouache and seeing it's so quick drying, and it cannot be rehydrated. So you can just slap it on, and just build and build and build on top of yourself. It's really, really satisfying. There we go.
trying to remember all of our folds for this.
Let's see here. Let's go back to that thick brush. And let's go with... Is it time to bring in some white? I think it is.
So when does this movie take place? Is it like 1700s or what is it?
Oh yeah, that's that weird wibbly wobbly time for. I love historical dramas, but I'm like, yes, it's anywhere between. No, it's not the 1500s, not the 60s. Probably like 17. Yeah, you're right. Probably 1700s. But yeah, potentially 1800s.
Before electricity, basically.
Yeah, definitely before electricity. Potentially, they would have referred to America as the colonies. So probably before 1776. Yeah. They might not have had the colonies at all. I wonder who was the queen then. I don't know. Probably Queen Elizabeth II still.
Oh, our prof is asking a question. Alex, can you show us the acrylic gouache tubes?
Oh, yeah. Sorry, let me finish this sweeping part so that can dry clean. There we go. There's the acrylic gouache tubes. And they're really great. You only need a little bit, but you can, just like regular gouache, using more or less water makes them more or less transparent. The difference is that their base is plastic based, like acrylic. So when they dry, it dries, and there is not anything you can do to rehydrate it again. Which, yeah, if you're used to gouache, can be a little bit of a problem. But once you learn that it's a little bit the same and a little bit different, it's a lot of fun.
A little bit the same and a little bit different. All right. Okay.
Let's see here.
It's so rusty today.
Me too.
Haven't had a chance to draw yet. This is my first time drawing today, believe it or not. I've had other things to do.
What's really weird is catching myself makes mistakes as I'm making them. And I'm like, stop. And I just keep going.
Yep, that happens all the time. But I feel like that's the mark of a growing artist, when you can look at your own work as you're doing it and be like, that is wrong, fix it. You know, like I would much rather have that than, post it all on Instagram and go like, oh wow, look at this piece, I've already got so many likes, and oh, there's 6 fingers on it, like. So.
And that's when you say the old artist phrase, yeah, it's supposed to be like that.
Precisely. Allison Wonderland says, wondering what the difference is between acryl gouache and acryl paint. I'm actually wondering that too. So, Alex,
yeah.
You're up.
I wish I knew more of like the chemistry things offhand, because I looked those up and proceeded to forget all the complicated names. But essentially, acrylic paint is like entirely plastic based. That's how it is, and it's pigment added to that. And people do guess that acrylic paint will outlive even oil paint as far as longevity goes. Basically, I think that the key is that acrylic gouache is water soluble, whereas acrylic paint is not. Like mixing water with acrylic paint, like you're just going to have a bad time. Whereas acrylic gouache is meant to be mixed with water. So that is the biggest difference. Like if you use water with acrylic paint, you're going to get watered down acrylic paint, and it'll separate the pigments and it'll just look crummy. Whereas acrylic gouache is intended for that use. There we go. Oh, yeah, that's it. That's what we're looking for. It's funny. I heard a thing like a psychology professor was saying, Jordan, about like that making mistakes as you're making them. Neurologically speaking, like if we're moving our hand to move a brush, our brain makes the decision to move the brush before our conscious mind is even aware of it. So there's that.
Creepy and awesome at the same time. So it's just all intuitive.
Yeah. So it's that's a whole doozy to wrap your brain around. Hoy vey. So
you know what though? I kind of understand that, because there's times where I'm just sketching and I'm like, when the heck did I do that? When did I make that decision? It's like it doesn't really compute.
It's really wild and kind of uncomfortable to think about. like, why'd you make that decision? It's like, I really couldn't tell you. I was on autopilot.
Yeah, it happens to me all the time, especially like if I'm talking or if I'm on the phone or something like that, and I look at my piece, I'm like, when did I, how was this decision made, and is this a good move? And sometimes it ends up being worse because of that. But there are times where autopilot's a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
Maria Kilson says, does gouache also have granulating pigments like watercolors, or does all paint colors go on smooth?
Let's see. Does was the question for acrylic gouache or just regular gouache?
Gouache.
Regular gouache. Yeah, chemically, gouache and watercolor are identical. There's really just more opacity in gouache. I believe it's the gum arabic that does that. So yeah, chemically, watercolor and gouache are essentially both just pigment activated by water. So whereas with, like, when you're talking about like make the gradient with it, I think that's that key point, and that's how they can work the way they can versus say like regular acrylic paint, which doesn't work that way. Water causes it to break up. I hope that answered the question.
I don't know. Did it answer the question? Hopefully.
Yeah, let me know if I did not.
Erica says, do you clean your brushes in the sink when using acrylic gouache? I might be concerned with it going down the drain.
That's a really, really good question. Yeah, best way to do that is obviously have like your paint bucket or your water bucket here. And then as you keeping your brush clean throughout, and if you really want to be conscientious about it, like you let the water evaporate and then you clean out with a damp paper towel the acrylic gouache residue or acrylic residue at the bottom of your paint bucket so that you can throw that away, and it doesn't just go down the sink and clog your drain. Which is one of those things. It's less of a problem for you if you are renting, more of a problem for you if you or your parents own the plumbing. So keep those things in mind.
Yeah, I remember just learning about oil paints in art school and learning about how toxic some of that stuff was to either get on your own body or pour down the sink.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, how in the world would I even practice this? Like, I don't even know what to do with this stuff.
That's why I'm definitely one of those generations of artists where it was like, I learned all of the harmful things about oil painting before really learning the joys of it. So I'm like, wait, why would you do this? Why would you do this to yourself?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I'm just doing digital stuff.
Yeah, that's zero chemicals there. You're good.
Yeah. Like here's a piece of glass. Go draw on it,
Knock yourself out.
Right. Bestowing the brush says, I'm also really impressed that you're using this flat brush. I would gravitate towards round with this, but flat looks fun and like you could really cover areas quickly in a quick decision mode.
I am very intentionally using flat brush because I know I have a tendency to noodle. And if I was using a small round brush, I would be painting Lizzie's face this entire time. And I would be creating a terrible composition that way. This way I can actually like, okay, let's work big, let's bold, let's block out all these areas. I can kind of be intentional about working the whole piece in. It's like a handicap I'm setting for myself. Ugh, kind of like sticking my hand right in my palette. Oh well.
Try and do a little color swatch here. See what I can do with this. So, since we're both working on this, what is the context of this scene that we are both painting with her breaking the stick?
This scene, oh boy, by the costume she's wearing. No, it was not when Mr. Collins proposed to her. I think she was wearing the green dress in that scene. It's not the first time Mr. Darcy proposed to her. She was also wearing, oh, interesting. She has a proposal dress in that movie. I think.
So she's sought after by several guys then. She's very popular.
Oh, yeah.
Got it. Okay.
It's the combo of like, one, she's Keira Knightley, and 2, like,
I don't know what that means.
She's a nice lady.
Got it. I figured, but I was like, I need more clarification. Okay, got it.
Let's see. I think this scene was when Jane, her older sister, and Mr. Bingsley, who was really hitting it off with Jane, and like he all of a sudden just cancels and just stops calling. Well, they didn't call. And so she's all worried about Mr. Bingley's, what's up with him? Why did he hurt my sister Jane so bad?
Oh, okay. So he ghosted her.
Yeah. Mr. Bingsley ghosted Jane.
Dang, that ain't cool, Mr. Bingsley.
Not at all.
Not cool, bro.
Boy, here's a hint for the movie. If I was Lizzie and I found out who encouraged Mr. Bingsley to ghost Jane, oh boy, would I be mad at him. Oh boy.
Blatantly says the stick is a metaphor for something, ?
Mr. Darcy's neck just snap.
Yeah, I'm like, any questions with Pride and Prejudice, they are directed to you, Alex. I don't know. Did this freeze on me? Oh.
Visual that are Victorian and based. It's kind of cool. Yep. Let's see here. Let's get some more highlights up in here.
I don't even remember what brush I was using just now. What was I doing? Uh-oh. Oh, okay. There we go. I use brushes. I don't even remember which ones they are half the time because there's so many of them. It's like the one that's round.
Same way. Sometimes I choose a brush because it's like, it was the one closest to my hand at the time. Like, I know another one would have been better, but it is what it is.
Alice in Wonderland says, Jordan always has such beautiful line art. Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that. I actually was debating if I wanted to go over this again during the stream and make it more like animated style type thing. But I don't think I have time for that. maybe I'll come back to it later. If you guys want to see that, let me know. By the way, Alex, your camera's off. I don't know if you realized that.
I just realized that. Yeah, I got a little ping from YouTube. And I'm like, huh. Let me try just refreshing this page here and see if that works. Okay, I think this is going to work. I'll just reactivate that camera and away we go.
Hanging trees are always so interesting because I remember when I was a kid, I always used to think of them as like being brown and stuff, but now I look at it, it's more like a grayish yellow sometimes.
Yeah. Trees, yeah, exactly. It's like, oh, it's just brown. It's like, no. There's so many cool colors in that.
Yeah. Like, I don't want to miss them,
Here we go. Just doing a visual test. Yep, that camera is back in business. Very cool.
Yeah. All right. Mm-hmm.
Just another problem solved.
Now we just need your face camera. That's what we're missing now.
Oh, no. I didn't know that was gone, too.
Yeah, man, we can't do the stream without you being on.
Let's see what we can do. Start camera.
Gotta give people options. If they don't want to look at me, they can look at you.
That's actually, oh, nope, not that one, not that one. There we go. Boop. Camera number 7.
There we go. You're good.
Aha. Perfect.
Thank you all, audience, for bearing with our technical difficulties.
/ our problem-solving abilities.
Yeah, there we go.
Okay. Sure.
What were we talking about?
Trees.
Oh, that's what it was. Okay, so all right, new comment. John Murph says, I like the way Alex's lower clothing and its folding is painted, and it's such a small work surface. It looks more prominent than the one in the image.
Mm-hmm. It's definitely more prominent now because I'm really just blocking out those key forms of it that I can see. So it's definitely like very stark right now. But I mean, thank you for saying, because I think that's kind of what I want to keep going as I'm moving forward. I want to maintain that kind of life that it has. It's very zen in a frustrating way of just like work on a painting just so that you can get back to how it looked in the very beginning.
Yeah, there's that freshness that is really hard. Like I find that anytime I work on a painting, you can tell whether or not how it's going to come out okay in the first 20, 25 minutes. I notice, like especially if you just like all the base colors, you could tell really quickly, and then the rest is just refining from that point forward, I think.
Ain't that the truth?
There were times where I actually restarted whole paintings when I was like an hour into it, and I'm like, let me try this again, and it turns out better. And I'm like, well,
sometimes that's it. Yeah.
It's really annoying when that happens, I gotta say.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's not very welcome or enjoyable when you realize that, but it does create a better piece of artwork. So
yeah, kind of view each painting as a chance to practice and grow.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's some next level patience that I do not normally have.
Oh.
Sweep. Sweep. There we go.
Maria says, Jordan, is using an already toned page on the file something you think makes it easier to create a cohesive color scheme on the drawing? Or is this, I just overthink it? So I think that toning when working digitally is always better because usually when you start off, the canvas is stark white. And whenever you have that, you run the risk of not being able to see your colors clearly because it just starts messing with our eyes. And then again, how often are you really going to see anything in this world that's just a pure white background with nothing affecting that? So for those reasons and more, I tend to just tone it. It just makes it a lot easier for me. And I know a lot of other artists that do that too.
That's a really good way to think about that.
Yeah, I just think it makes life easier to just see it in the context of how it's actually going to be. Like for example, when I was designing my characters, I couldn't put them on a white background because one, they have glowing colors and I wouldn't be able to see it, and two, I just knew that I wouldn't ever have them in a situation where you couldn't see the environment around them. So I was like, what's the point of that?
Yeah, because when I think of other images of character design art, they are always against a colored background.
Mm-hmm.
But it sounds like for that same reason.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Unless it's like just line art, that's a little different. But it's very rare that you'll see them just on a white background. Well, maybe not very rare, but I just find it more helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we got a confession from Jane. I've never tried to mix a skin tone with my gouache set before. I usually do landscapes. This should be interesting.
Ooh, hell yeah. I'm glad. Sounds like Jane's painting along with us. Just a reminder for you guys who don't know, if you are painting along with us, please take pictures and meet us up in the Discord at the end. I really want to see what you guys are cooking up.
Yes, please. That's always one of the joys of Art Prof is seeing what you guys do. Coming on the streams is obviously really fun, but what the reason we do this is so that you guys can do artwork and hopefully be inspired by what we do. So we always love when you guys participate like that. So yeah, definitely bring it.
Well said. Scoop, scoop. Hell yeah. That's it. That's it. There we go.
I just realized I made her foot like really, really tiny, but whatever. It is what it is.
You meant to do that.
Yeah, I meant to do that. She just has tiny feet. It's a intentional design choice, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they all say. That's what the cool kids say. Actually, you can get away with a lot of stuff in art school by saying it's intentional. It really is.
Oh, yeah.
Pro tip for you guys. You can get away with a lot.
It's one of those like aim high, like crash hard kind of things. Because yeah, if people catch you out and you can't bluff your way out of it, oh boy.
Oh yeah, that's a dangerous scenario. You got to be really good at BSing if you're going to do that. And some people are, and a lot of your classmates won't appreciate it, but you get out of stuff that way.
Just thinking of like reminds me of like the vibes of like crime movies and like mob movies and stuff. Like like no one's gonna snitch, like no one's gonna be like, hey professor, they just made that up on the spot. I know because they told me last night that they didn't know what they were doing.
Right?
Do that. There's like an honor amongst art students. They might resent you, but they'll never rat.
You know what though? I've seen scenarios where people will if there's someone they don't like and they in that situation popped up, they will intentionally say things that or ask them questions that they know that the student doesn't know.
Oh,
so
that's
yeah, I've seen that before. So it may not be obvious to the professor. I mean, it could. I don't know. Just depends on the scenario, I guess. But it's at least obvious to the two, and it's like a movie scene where two people are having a conversation about something, and it's very clear that there's something hidden underneath that dialogue.
Yes,
which are my favorite scenes in movies, by the way, but or some of them. I'll move on. This is boring me now. I know, it's not even done, but I'm bored now. John Murph says, Jordan, do you stick to just a single tone or make choices depending on what you will be digitally painting? Wait, stick to a single. I'm not sure I understand the question. Stick to a single tone, like when I'm doing line work. I'm not. Can you elaborate more on that question, please? I want to answer. I just don't think I understand.
Well, I've hit that point in the painting where I don't like it. That means I'm almost at the point where I do like it. But yeah, all through my head right now is like, nope, 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 nope.
I feel that. I'm gonna draw this guy. He looks sleazy and fun, like that expression.
Oh, Mr. Darcy, he owns half of Derbyshire. Brings in about 5,000 a year.
That guy. All right, John Murph says, I'm talking about the background color before you start painting. Okay, so let me reread the question about tone. Where's it? Stick to a single tone. Okay, so usually I will have an idea of what it looks like, or the idea of what the colors should be based on the scene. So if it's a night scene, I might use a blue or a purple. If it's, sort of, late afternoon, like the last one, I might do a green or a yellow or, I just pick the most common color in the background and I'll do it based off of that. And then from there, I'll just move forward and then I'll think about shadows and all that other stuff. Which, yeah, to be honest, I spend more time thinking about like my lines and gesture and anatomy than color sometimes. Just because, especially in these strings, because gotta move so quickly. So, in a real situation, I might be fussing more.
Let's see here.
Uncurious AJ says, what's y'all's go-to brush? For traditional, I always go for a liner brush, small round brush, and a dagger brush. And for digital, I just go towards whatever the best pencil brush is. You want to go first on that one, Alex?
Yeah. I really like starting with a flat brush. Like I said earlier, I think it keeps me from noodling away. And then I'm pretty much round, sizes like 6 down to 2 for the rest of the painting.
For me, I also tend to go for a more textured brush that's like a pencil. And like it really just depends on what I'm trying to mimic. If it's more of a charcoaly kind of look that I'm trying to go for, then I'll use that type of brush. If it's oil painting type of brush, and I'll use that. I'll use that if I want to get that look. So I think it just depends. Really, just depends.
Right now, I'm held up by the part of acrylic gouache that I'm still not used to, is that your paint can, in fact, dry on the palette. And you can't rehydrate it. So I'm like, well, all right. Got to remix that color again.
Okay, so since I'm drawing this guy, Darcy,
Oh, Mr. Darcy.
Mr. Darcy, what's he all about?
Well, so Mr. Darcy owns half of Derbyshire, brings in about 5,000 a year. So he's quite a catch, but he's very snooty. People find him very cold and aloof. Darcy, in his own words, though.
That sounds like exactly like a quote from
yeah, like Mr. Darcy, in his own voice, he would say that, yeah, he is not blessed with the social skills to make himself easily acquainted to people. He also finds a lot of people ridiculous, which is a little snooty of him. But a lot of people are ridiculous, so I can't begrudge him too hard.
So he's justified in his snootiness?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Where he's like, yeah, I get awkward in social situations. Also, I think you're an idiot. I'm like, oh, okay. It's like, Darcy, you certainly are a character. He's fiercely loyal, though. He loves his friends, and once he loses his trust in you, it's gone forever. It's very black and white in his thinking.
Is he the main antagonist of the film?
No, he's the love interest. Well, it's
those two aren't necessarily mutually exclusive, but
I think that's kind of why I like the movie, where it's like I can't really think of the antagonist other than circumstances.
Gotcha. Okay.
Well, maybe Mr. Wickham. That guy's a schmuck.
Such a descriptive word.
Yeah, Mr. Wickham should take a long walk on a short pier. That's what I say.
Oh, snap. Oh, my goodness. If Alex,
the truth comes out.
Man, there's no hope for this guy. There's no hope for him. C. Cantrell says, can you mist the acrylic gouache? I do that on regular acrylic palette.
Ooh. That's actually a really great idea. I probably can start doing that. Yeah, misting, where you kind of like get a little squirt bottle. Yeah, what works really well is those small ones that you use for like eyeglasses polish stuff. And put just water in it and just get a little spritz onto the palette to keep it hydrated. That's a phenomenal idea. Thank you. Yeah, honestly, it's like I'm still tinkering away and learning acrylic gouache. So yes, that is something I gotta do in the future.
Yeah, because you said that you can't rehydrate it, so I bet that would be a very big help for you, right?
Yeah, it's like you can't rehydrate it, just keep it wet. Don't let it dry. Man, I wonder if I have something like that handy around the house already. I probably do.
So that means whenever you're working on it, you either have to do it in one sitting or just be so good and confident that you know what layers are coming next.
Yeah. And like in the case of what just happened, it's like, well, good thing I mixed a big puddle of that perfectly good color that now I can't use.
Oh, dang, I didn't even think about that.
Womp womp.
That sucks.
It's a pretty color though. My palette looks nice.
Yeah, but is it even? It's not even practical anymore, though. That's the thing that makes it so sad.
It couldn't fulfill its prime objective.
Well, at least take a picture of it or something so you can remember the good times you had.
Nah, I put the other color over it. It's dead to me. Actually, wait, that is actually an interesting point about the subtle difference of acrylic gouache to gouache. Is that gouache, it's a different color, wet than dry. Acrylic gouache, same color. So actually, I was able to recreate the color close because I was making it on top of it.
Oh.
Yeah, so it was like, well, it's all about the friends we made along the way, you know.
Yeah, there you go.
Oopsies. Not done.
Lillian says, Alex, how do you not get your colors muddy?
That's one where I think, again, I'll say the benefit of the medium with acrylic gouache drying so quickly and being, look at that, it's permanent now. It's there. It cannot mix on the page, so it's really good at being separate layers, like separate worlds apart even. So I think, I hope
it's impossible to get muddy colors then because it dries.
Yeah. Actually, I'll take a picture of the palette and share it on Discord too, because it's an impressively tidy palette. For me, at least.
How many colors do you usually start off with in a palette? I'm just curious.
For this one, I'm using about 8 colors. Couple umbers, couple siennas, permanent yellow. For those of you who were on our last acrylic gouache stream, a personal new favorite, John Brilliant, because they don't have Naples yellow. Let's see here.
Erica says, can you use slow drying mediums with acrylic gouache similar to acrylic paint?
I have not tried that. My guess would be that you could, but it would not be the intended method of the paint, which means not to say that it's a bad thing, but you might get some funky results that you were not planning on. So I don't think that it would work in a way of preserving the acrylic gouache. I think it could be an interesting tool in incorporating transparency into your work. But yeah, I don't think it would. I don't think it would preserve the color. I think that might start breaking up the pigment. But I've never tried it, so it sounds like something I gotta try.
All of you who have it now have to experiment.
I think I have some. It's like, unfortunately, like across the room. Like, so I don't want to grab and be like, I'll be right back. So also, I've come too far in this painting to want to try something.
So I know this is a movie and everything, but something I've always wondered about people who lived like back in 17, 1800s.
Mm-hmm.
At certain times of the year, like in the summer, living in the Northeast sucks.
Yep.
It's so hot, and everyone is wearing like 55 layers of clothing, and there's no sweat ever. And I always wondered, like, how do they survive? Like, these coats look heavy.
Oh, that's the thing. Well, like, this costume I'm painting in particular looks like the comfiest linen attire I've ever seen, and it looks very, very comfy. But yeah, that's the thing. They were just stinky.
Yeah.
That's, they don't show that in the movies. But yep, everyone smelled. Yeah, everybody smelled. In medieval times, royalty would bathe like once a month, And that was royalty. Everybody else was like, oh, good luck with that.
I heard about that too. I heard actually that some of them would sleep in like barns
Oh, yeah.
near cattle and stuff like that, and they would just like toss out their waste on the side of the street, when they were done.
Yep.
Just like all that stuff. Like, oh,
Yeah, there was a whole job in medieval society for people to get that waste and then put it into the river just to get it out of the town. But here's the thing. When people bathed once a month, they bathed in that river. So it was just everybody smelled all the time.
oh, that's terrible.
It makes Pride and Prejudice a lot more approachable, though, if you just imagine every character just reeking of BO.
That's kind of awesome. Keira Knightley don't smell so good now, huh? Yes, she's not so sought after, I imagine. Anyway, John Murph says, with the paint drying so fast, it means you cannot mix the paint with the one below it, and you will have to mix up a new paint color all the time.
Truth. Which is different than how I would work with gouache, but different in an exciting, fun, new way. Where it's almost like I have to use a certain level of opacity, to talk about it, say, like in digital terms. Like, I cannot get below like 85% opacity. So I gotta just work with that, which is different than gouache, where you can be like a little bit more flexible.
Ariel says, Alex, have you formed a comparison opinion on the acrylic gouache yet?
Yes, actually, I'm actually going to show really quickly something I was working on in the D&D campaign I play with my siblings. I find acrylic gouache to be a really good way to do really quick studies like this, which just by the speed in which it dries, I haven't been able to do with regular gouache. So I accidentally gave myself like a Homer Simpson moment of like, oh, that's a fine looking barbecue. Why doesn't mine look like that? Like having a finished painting and then an unfinished one underneath it. Certainly a sobering thing.
Yeah, I know that place. I know that.
It's like, wow, I've painted so many good things in the past. What's going on?
Yeah, honestly, I usually don't even look at the artwork that I do on the streams afterwards, because I know for a fact that I'm going to start.
You just put them in a box. Let's see here. Man, I've got to get away from her face and start moving around to the rest of the painting again.
Everyone dressed so fancy. Like, I would love to see like this setting with people wearing like t-shirts and like in like Hurley flip-flops or something.
I know exactly what you're talking about. It's like the joy I get from seeing like the behind the scenes set photos of like the Lord of the Rings movies. And you just see like Gandalf wearing like a Patagonia sweater, like
all that.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, so one of my favorite shows is called The Chosen, and it's a TV series about life of Jesus. And when they show behind the scenes stuff, they're like on iPhones and they have a megaphone. Just like they're eating cupcakes behind the scenes. It's just like
that's so funny.
And it's just like, whoa, this is just like my mind is being blown. And half of them use an accent too. So then when they speak normally, it's like, whoa. That's really good.
That's so funny. Actually, yeah, I want to say there was wasn't there a movie? I can't remember if it came out already or not, where like Rooney Mara played Mary Magdalene, and I remember seeing like a publicity image of it where she was just like sitting there in her costume, but just like on her phone, like smoking a cigarette, and it's like just very like, what's going on? Like,
yeah. I don't know that one. I'm not familiar with that movie.
I don't know. Like I said, I don't know if it's been released yet or not, or still in pre-production. Actually, it might have been paused because of COVID. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, that has happened.
That'll do it.
Yeah. I have a friend who's an actress, and she said that with COVID, everyone had to like be in these specific tents and stuff. Like they had tents labeled for like actors, and then for the cast and the crew, and like directors here, writers here, that type of stuff.
Oh, that's wild.
Like it was like they had to do like this super crazy protocol thing just for them to work, and that way, if someone got sick, then they would know which tent it came from.
Interesting.
Yeah. I don't know if they still do it. I imagine so, but I'm not an actor, so.
There we go. Oh, that's the color I wanted.
Come on. The gestures aren't cooperating right now. Wonder what this guy's saying in his head right now. Just looks like, why won't you agree with me, sir? Yeah. Yeah.
He's kind of especially in that movie, that actor, Matthew McFadden, maybe. His voice is just so monotone, just so like, just bland.
He kind of looks like, maybe not looks like, he reminds me of Lucius Malfoy a bit.
Very much so, yeah. Like a little bit like that, like the stereotype of like, like you're wearing like a shirt with like a comic book character on it. The guy who will come up to you, it's like, oh, you like Spider-Man? Name all the Spider-Man villains, like, kind of like that guy. Always trying to like test you.
Yeah. Not gonna lie, I did that the other day. Except Spider-Man, it was with Tupac songs. It was like, you like Tupac, huh? Well, name a song that's not California Love, How Do You Want It, or Dear Mama. Go. It is like,
oh, Jordan, for shame.
Yeah. I would totally lose in certain battles like that. I know it for sure. Like I would. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I could very well be embarrassed.
There we go. Oh, it's happening. I might be enjoying the painting again.
Uh-oh. Jojo says, is it like thinner acrylic or is it still watery and stuff?
A little bit of both, actually. Because I think you can see right now, it is extremely watered down. But if I used only a little bit of water, it would be as thick as the thickest acrylic. So it's more flexible than acrylic paint is by itself. Let's see here. All right, let's share the love of my time. Let's move around this painting a little bit more, not get stuck in where I'm at.
I don't even know what to do with this one.
Whoops. Alrighty then. Oh. Yeah, it's okay. It's very blue, isn't it? Yes, it is.
That tree? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Trees are, like I said before, trees are always tricky.
Trees are weird.
Yeah. Necessary, but tricky.
You think you understand them, and they're like, nope. Surprising tree thing.
Yeah. Honestly, that's like everything. Like, even when I draw the figure still, there are times where I'm like, I got this. I don't need a reference. And then about 15 minutes later, I'm like, oh, shoot, what is this muscle again?
Yeah, it's like that Gandalf phrase, you can learn everything you need to know in a month, but then after 100 years, you'll still be surprised.
Yeah. Not gonna lie, I think that'd be very helpful though.
Oh yeah.
Learn everything you need to know in a month. Oh my gosh.
Let's see.
God's little artist says, I thought Mr. Darcy looked disgusted the whole movie.
Yeah, he looks like he's the only one who can smell everyone else's BO. That's what we call a callback joke.
Love it. Like he's been singing Roses by Outkast for his whole life. I used to love that song when it first came out. Oh my goodness. Couldn't get me to stop singing that song. So I was like 9 when it came out, and for those who don't know, the chorus goes, I know you like to think your bleep don't stank, but lean a little bit closer, see, roses really smell like boo-boo. And to a 9-year-old, that's freaking hilarious. Like, you know, like, you can't get away from that. It's funny.
Yeah, it's so funny, like, thinking of those songs that, like, for one reason or another, you just couldn't stop listening to.
Yeah.
Sometimes I hear them and I'm like, oh, this takes me back. And other times I'm like, I can't believe I thought this was good.
Oh, yeah. That happens all the time. Half your playlist you're ashamed at.
There we go.
Lloydly says, Jordan, give that guy a jetpack and he fits in great with your style. You know what?
Yeah.
Maybe I will. Maybe I will give him a jetpack. I don't know about on this stream because I got to color him. But
Hey, you know what? Why not? I vote for jetpack.
right now? Oh, okay. You want to see a jetpack? All right. Well,
You want to see a jetpack? I'll give you a jetpack. All right.
let's see. All right. So if I don't finish coloring it, it's on you, Alex, and you, Soydenly. I'm blaming on both of y'all. Let's see. Let's color this reddish. Give me a second. Let me get some references for jetpacks because I gotta admit I don't draw jetpacks that often, so just forgive me.
This is one of those moments of like art, hooray! Like you never know where it'll take you.
Right, exactly.
Darcy with a jetpack.
Let's see. Supichaya says, "How do you determine which colors to paint? For example, I should paint the clothing a little bit more saturated in the reference photo."
So I was cleaning my brush in the water, so I didn't hear the second part about that, about the clothing.
It says I should paint the should I paint the clothing a little bit more saturated than the reference photo?
I like to. I think it's again that kind of thing of like when you think of the photo that it has already undergone, especially for a film like this, it's already undergone a lot of lighting and tweaking just to make it just so. So I kind of like to, if I see a little bit of red, I bring in a lot of red. Like I just personally enjoy doing that when working from photos. It helps me, I think, put a little bit more me into it. But yeah, it also helps as a teaching moment for me to like look at the colors and really identify what they are. Like in this painting, rather than the dress being just brown and the shirt being just white, it's like, okay, but what color is it really? Like what color are those shadows? Kind of getting me to second guess that.
Yeah, to be honest, as a rule of thumb, I tend to saturate my colors a little bit more than the reference photo. And in some cases, I'll actually saturate the reference photo itself because my mind will sometimes play tricks on me. And I in my mind at the beginning, I'll say, oh, I want this to be saturated. And then I keep looking at the photo and I forget what the initial intention was. So sometimes if you want to combat that, just, strike right at the reference photo, especially if you're working digitally. That's such an easy fix. Okay. Looks like a wilderness explorer, so we're going to change this jetpack up a little bit.
Yeah, go full Buzz Lightyear on it.
Yeah. The Procreate's glitching on me right now. Okay, hold on. Let's close this out.
Ever since I got that suggestion to have like a squirt bottle handy, I'm like, man, that could have saved my tuchus a couple times in this stream already.
Yeah, that's the unfortunate part about live streaming is like these solutions. They're kind of over and done with at a certain point.
And I'll say it, the hard thing about learning art is like you always learn mid painting. You're like, well, this one could have been good, but you know what? Next time.
So I just looked up jetpacks. There are so many varieties of this thing. It's bizarre. Like there's some that have like 6 canisters like on the side. There's some that just look like binoculars on the back. There's some with like handles, some that don't have handles. It's just like it's all over the place.
I would absolutely need handles on my jetpack.
Yeah.
I would need to like hold onto a handle very, very tight. Even if it did nothing, I would just need to hold it for dear life.
Yeah. Did you ever watch Jimmy Neutron as a kid?
Oh yeah, I loved it.
Dude, that jetpack that he had was the coolest thing in the world to me. I always wanted one of those.
It had the 2 joysticks, right? I imagine that right?
Joysticks. It just had the 2 little canisters on the back, and he would just kind of fly like a bird. He would just kind of know what to do. Like it was freaking dope. I was like, "Who is this 10-year-old?" And then I remember in the movie Aaron Carr playing, it's like, "It's a kid's baby." And like as a 6-year-old, I just got all hyped up. I was like, "Yeah, Jimmy!" Yeah.
I liked in the Jimmy Neutron movie, he made like a giant bouncing hamster ball that he could travel around in at the beginning.
Giant bouncing hamster. I don't remember that. Bouncing hamster ball. Do you remember the scene?
Yeah, it was like the very beginning of the movie, when it was like just setting the scene of him being like the misunderstood boy genius, not very appreciated. He's like, "Hey guys, I made this thing." And
oh, I think it was the bubble gum, right? Wasn't that it?
yeah, maybe. I think so.
I think it was gum. Okay, yes, I remember that. Yeah, for those of you who watched Nickelodeon in 2001 and 2002, y'all know what it is.
I'm glad you too enjoyed a good childhood.
Oh yes, man. If it weren't for my childhood, I wouldn't be doing art, honestly, because I just watched so many cartoons as a kid over and over again, and I was like, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. And it's weird because I actually never had a plan B. like seriously, like my whole life, family, because I'm the only artist in my family. And generally speaking, until someone brings that up, no one really knows about it or investigates it, and they're like, "How are you going to make money?" And there's all these questions, and people kept telling me you need a plan B, and I was like, "How about no?"
Yeah,
I'm going to force this to work.
It's just we're gonna make it work.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember where this is from, but I was like the phrase of like, I'll either find a way or make a way.
Yeah, that's a good one. Another one I like is from Will Smith. He said, and again, Will Smith said this, so if you take this advice, it's Will who said it, not me. In case it doesn't turn out the same way for you, it doesn't work that well. But he said there's no reason to have a plan B because it distracts from plan A.
I definitely feel that. There's a really good friend of mine who's a musician. He's in bluegrass band, Meadow Mountain. It's super stellar. And he has this phrase of like, in music, sometimes you have to go all in just for a lottery ticket. And it's like, whoo, sometimes you just gotta risk if you're passionate about it. I don't know.
I like that. I like that statement.
It's interesting. I think I come from a much different setting with it, where it's like the work that I want to do like would never fully support, so I like have to think of a plan B, which is actually a lot more relaxing. I'm like, oh yes, oh this is good, oh yeah.
Yeah, for me it's just like there's nothing else I would want to do, so that stresses me out to think like, outside of this, what is there? Like, there's, not to say I don't have other interests, but as a career, as a way to make money, you know, that's where the challenge comes in.
Dude, that's the coolest thing to hear you say, because like I'm the exact opposite, which is again like that cool thing of like just the diversity of making the art world, you know?
Mm.
Like for me, it's almost like a thing of like, man, I can't think of anything I want to do for like like the rest of my career, you know? Like I kind of want to do a bunch of different stuff.
Yeah, you're like Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah. Maybe I'll be a robot. Maybe I'll be the governor. I don't know.
I just find it fascinating. So I've been reading this book called Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill.
Oh yeah.
You read that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the version I got is like an updated version. So it goes into some of the people who we would recognize in modern days. So it talks about Bill Gates, Spielberg, Schwarzenegger, etc. And with him, it was just talking about how how he started off as like this supreme bodybuilder in Austria, and he won like four or five championships in a row. And then he's like, okay, well, what's next? Well, now I want to star in movies, and then he did that really successfully. And then, he's like, you know what? I want to help people, and then he became the governor or the governator, you know. So it's really, really cool.
Yeah. That's really inspiring. I like that. I think that, I don't know, sometimes I think you can get stuck in something just because of how long it took you to get there.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you like, oh, I'm proud of what I've done. I've done good things, but it's like in Arnold's case, it's time for me to not be a bodybuilder anymore. I want to do something else.
Right. Yeah. The stories of certain people are just really inspiring. Like I learned about how Spielberg actually got into Hollywood. And it's
How did he do that?
So basically, you ever been to Universal Studios or the Universal Store?
But I want to. But
okay, so on the Universal lot they have a tour where you can go see the sets of all these movies. They'll take you on a tram, and there's a announcer guy, and they just go around like, this is where we filmed such and such. This is where we did. So he went on one of those back when he was a teenager, or no, maybe like post college or something. But he was young, in his 20s, and he snuck off the tram and hid for like 8 hours, and then he walked out and befriended the security guard, and the security guard thought that he was an intern working there, and so then he showed up the next day in a suit and a briefcase, and he just walked right in. He's like, "Hey, what's up, Jeff? How you doing?" And just walked right in.
That's awesome.
And he did that for weeks and months and just befriended everyone working on these sets. And at this point, he had already had a successful student film. And so he started talking to the like directors and producers and all that stuff. And they decided to give him a shot. And the first film he ended up working on was Jaws, which became the highest grossing movie of that time.
That's wild.
Yep. And the crazy part about that, even going beyond that, they had another director, and then Spielberg talked them out of it. No, give it to me.
That's a big move.
Right?
That's wild. He just full on. Did anyone read the children's book, The Mixed Up Files of Mrs. Basil E. Frankweiler, when the two kids like sneak into the museum and spend the night there? They did exactly what Steven Spielberg did. They just sneak in and pretend like he owned the place.
So awesome. I mean, there's no way we could do that anymore.
Oh no,
because there's way too much security and all that stuff. But just the mindset that they had, like, I'm just gonna go here and pretend like I belong here.
Yeah,
it's epic.
Oh, that is way too bright. Oh my goodness. What have I done? Let's get back to some sepia in here.
Our prof says, Alex, where is Lizzie's stick?
Right? I have made the shadow for the stick, but I have not made the stick yet.
That is funny. You know, that just reminded me of whenever I think of sticks, I think of dogs and stuff. You know what movie I saw that was really funny lately? Mitchell's versus the Machines. Have you seen that?
Oh, I've been wanting to. There's like some good buds from my class that worked on that.
Are you serious?
Yeah, Kellen Jett was one of the concept artists for it.
Oh, that's
And
sick.
I've been really, really wanting to see it. Was it good?
It
Well, I
is.
mean, I've heard it's great, but what would you think?
I personally loved it. So it's kind of like a Goofy movie mixed with The Incredibles a little bit. Like
Awesome.
the beats are very similar to things I've seen before, but it's so funny. Like it's constantly just funny, 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 joke, joke, joke. And it's written by the same guys who did Spider-Verse and the Lego movie.
Oh,
Um,
fantastic.
so yeah, it's just so funny. And the dog in that movie is like the best thing ever.
I have seen pictures of him. He's a little pug, right?
Yeah, he's a little
Oh,
pug.
he looks perfect.
He's amazing. He's like a cross-eyed pug, and just like is super friendly and stupid. It's just amazing. I love it.
Oh, I'm a huge fan. Dude, thank you for mentioning that because I've been like, God, I've been meaning to see that, but it's then like life happens and you just kind of forget to see what you want to see.
Yeah,
Like,
you,
oh, that's right.
yeah, you gotta check it out. It's too funny. It's too funny. You're gonna have a good time. Especially knowing you. You like to laugh and have a good time. Like you're gonna enjoy it.
And yeah, when you said it was like Goofy movie with Incredibles, I'm like, oh, I am sold. Those are like maybe two of my favorite animated movies.
Oh yeah, grew up on both of those. I remember seeing The Incredibles on my birthday as a kid in the theater.
Nice.
That was epic.
Yeah, I have just like weird flashback memories of like watching Goofy movie as a kid, and like, oh, it's so good.
Yeah, man. I remember the scene where they're singing on the car.
Yeah, when it's going down the river.
Yeah, that was the most intense thing for me. Like hearing them sing and then like they're in mortal danger and all that stuff. Like that's a moment right there. That is a moment of film history that I just can't forget.
Yeah, like, but nobody else. But why? Oh, you. Yeah.
And the other thing, like a Goofy movie, in my opinion, shouldn't have any reason to be as good as it actually is. You know what I mean? Like, who would have thought that a movie with Goofy and his son Max would
Oh
have
yeah.
pulled the heartstrings like that?
Yeah, really good, and it holds up. Like,
Mhm.
whew. Mhm.
Oh, and they have like their Prince Michael Jackson character power line. That's a lot of fun.
That's right. Oh yeah, it's like he has a crush on a Roxanne.
Mhm.
What was his friend's name?
Pete, I think,
Yeah,
was the
yeah.
kid, and I
And
forget
then the guy with the cheese sauce.
yeah, I forget his name. Um,
I think that guy had like a nickname. I can't remember it, but I don't think it was like a name.
I can't remember. Maybe in the voice chat we'll figure it out. Oh wait, Jane says I need Jordan to stop talking about a Goofy movie. I can't keep breaking out into song while I'm trying to paint. Well, Jane, sucks for you. I'm gonna keep talking about it. What's your favorite song from the movie? Do you remember them?
I have the song they sing on the river in my head. But I remember like Powerline's song at the end of the movie is pretty good.
Yeah, Eye to Eye. That's Eye to Eye.
Yeah.
And they have the Possum Park song.
Oh, that's right.
And then the After Today, the one where he's going down the street and like and he's seeing everyone like the last day of school and everything. And
Yes. Yeah. That's right at the beginning of the movie. After yeah.
and then On the Open Road. That's the other one. That's the other one.
I don't remember that one.
I'm not gonna sing it, but it's very catchy, like ridiculously catchy. But it's when they're on the freeway. And it starts off with like some pans like hitting the top of the car, and it's like boom.
Yeah, because the radio can't work, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I think he did destroy the radio or something, or the cassette, or I forget the circumstance actually, but something.
Yeah, that's a weird where I'm remembering like flashes very vividly.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, I need to rewatch this movie. Is what it sounds like. It's been too long.
And how? It's probably on a certain streaming service that I won't mention. I'll wait until they become an Art Prof sponsor.
That'd be pretty awesome. That'd be amazing.
Might as well go big.
I would actually really like to see that. But hey guys, just want to let you know that after this stream, please join us in the post live stream stage where you'll get to talk to us on voice. And we also want to say thank you to all of our Patreon supporters who continue to provide all this stuff for you. Like, this is just amazing, and we really can't uphold our Prof without you. So thank you so much. Help us reach our Patreon goal so this one name won't be alone anymore. But anyway, guys, we'll see you in the Discord. Have a great night. Peace.